My first question is, how did you become an actress? Were your parents actors, or did you just have a certain interest in acting?
Yes, well, I grew up around a lot of actors. My father was originally an actor, and then he became a scenic designer. My mother left high school at age 16 to go on the stage. She never finished high school.
Uh-huh.
And so then we had, friends and people, actors coming over to the house. We lived in the country. Well, we lived in the city for a while until first grade. Then I moved to the country. We lived in New York. But then we moved to Pennsylvania, to Bucks County, and there were a lot of, there was the Bucks County Playhouse, and there was Philadelphia, and so people who would come to do shows in the area would often come over to our house and hang out, have a barbecue or something, and they were a lively bunch. And my brother was an actor for a while, but I think he gave it up and became a chimney sweep for a while. Now he's a group leader. So yeah, it was a natural thing, and I don't know if I told you this before, but my father built my brother and me a little stage, and we used to fight over it. Anyways, and then I remember when I was a little girl, the name Nancy was a nice name, but I didn't want to, grow up and name any child Nancy because I was afraid that someone might call her Nancy. And I didn't like Nancy. Even then, I was always aware of words and how they were pronounced, and I was fascinated by them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And, and like Halloween, and then I wanted to be Eliza Doolittle for Halloween, and instead of just, a princess or whatever people usually want to be.
Yeah. Did you do theater acting? Were you obviously you do your three...
Yes, I have done theater acting, in Washington mostly, yes. And the one-woman shows, too. I've done those in some theaters. Sometimes in California, in Berkeley, it was I forget the name of the theater. Anyway, at a theater, and then at the Helen Hayes Theater at the National Theater in Washington D.C. and a few other theaters. Mostly, though, the one-woman shows are just wherever people would like to see a show, and but it gives me a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And
Well, I've interviewed you before, and, you've talked about your one-woman shows, and they're very interesting. You do Julia Child, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Babe Dickinson, and...
Yes, Babe Dietrichson's Arias. Yes, I did Julia Child last night, and everybody loved it. And, it's good to perform before an audience. They're always different.
Mm-hmm.
Some laugh more than others. Some have different questions at the end. Some people are really enthusiastic. I find that if the audience sits closer together, they have a better time than if they're all spread out and isolated. I like them to sit down front, of course, but, some people will sit in the back and try to include everybody.
Yeah.
But even any kind of performing gives you feedback that you integrate into your performance and that you use later, too, to know what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And being up on a stage, having the lights on you and knowing to go to the light and speaking, projecting very loudly, those things are, it's lots of fun, I'll have to say. It's always fun.
Yeah. I always find theater acting or, these theater performances very interesting because, as you said, you get different types of audiences and, they act more natural to it.
Yes, it generally, strangely, I suppose, because so many high school shows are so good, at least around here in Bucks County. I've gone to a few high school shows, and they are the technical proficiency and the directing and the acting. It's just wonderful. I mean, it's like, wow. So I wonder why the audiences are always a little older. It's the people who are older. Probably it's because the prices are higher, and the younger people can't afford to pay those higher prices. But yet they'll go to a game or some concert or something, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess the older audiences, appeal to the theater performances than younger people do. There's different.
They're used to that. That's how they grew up. So that's what they want. That's what they remember. That's what they remember liking. Going to the theater, exciting. We're going to go into town and go to the theater. And my mother and her sister were often taken. They grew up in Boston, and their parents would take them to the theater on, I don't know whether it was Saturday or Sunday or something like that, on the weekend. And it was always a thrill. I mean, they grew up doing that, and a lot of older people did, and then younger people, of course, there's television. You can be entertained by just staying at home and and watching a show that is on the television. And in the old days, of course, the television was live. People made mistakes. And,
yeah.
They made bloopers, but now usually it's edited beforehand and rebroadcast.
Yeah.
Do you edit this? Do you edit these interviews?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing goes live for me. I edit it. I record it.
I think that's wise, because sometimes there are gaps or distractions.
My next question is, you've done some voice acting too. What kind of voice acting do? You do narration?
I've done narrations, commercials, characters, video games. You know that. The Dark Elf in the video game, Morrowind, Mournhold, Blood Moon, Oblivion Special Edition, and the Elder Scrolls, and they didn't call me for Skyrim. But anyway, but they went and got their actors out in California, I think, for that.
Yeah.
But that was lots and lots of fun to do that. And then there was also another one or two. One was, anyway, I've done a few other video games, but minor characters.
Yeah.
Minor characters. And I think I said this last time, because when we first started out doing it, you had to look at the characters and form your mouth around what they were saying so it seemed natural.
Yeah.
But now, you just say it the way you naturally would, and then they form the mouth around that, the animation forms the mouth around the way those words would come out.
Yeah.
So it's not up to the actor to do that. Being burned alive gets saved to the end when your voice, you don't want to blow your voice at the beginning of a session.
Yeah.
And I remember there's one part where, I had to make up a tune all of a sudden. Okay, just make it up. And then there was another part. This was in one of the Morrowind games. I don't remember which one, but it was a storytelling time, and there were all different kinds of stories with all different kinds of attitudes. One would be, sort of like a tough guy telling a story, or others would be very romantic. So it was fun to just jump from one aspect to another attitude, to come in on the story and try to engage the readers, the players rather.
Yeah.
And another thing that was sort of fun about that was, I would think, I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you. I'm playing with you. So, I would be playful, I think.
Yeah.
And encourage the people, as they're playing the game. You think of the person on the other end who's playing the game, and you want that person to feel good. So, you encourage them and you discourage them from doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. I've interviewed some other voice actors who've done those games, Morrowind, Oblivion, The Elder Scrolls. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know some of them, like Katie Fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's British.
Yeah.
I know she did some.
I haven't interviewed
her.
And
then I've done, like, The Last of the Tsars for Discovery Channel, and France's Forgotten Shame, which is about the Holocaust and what happened in France during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Very serious. And some things also for the Jewish Committee on Conscience, and I think they mostly put it out on the internet, and it was very serious. It was not... When you approach something like that,
mm-hmm.
you just get to the edge of it and don't push it too hard, but let the facts tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any... Yeah.
Excuse me?
Do you have any upcoming projects? Do you have any upcoming more
I just have it's like a reading or something like that. Here, new plays, always good to encourage playwrights to write new plays.
Uh-huh.
So I'm working with some playwrights who are writing short 10-minute plays, and we're going to do those in June. And so that's, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I would like to be doing some regular, more lucrative, let's say, and more involved. I know that I can do it,
Yeah.
So,
do you have any upcoming more one-woman shows? Any more?
Oh, all over the place. I had three that were just canceled because there was a lot of snow here.
Yeah.
And so canceled Tuesday night, canceled Wednesday night, canceled Thursday afternoon, but I had the show on Thursday night. I have a show tomorrow. I have a show Monday. Yeah, I have a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And I totaled, doing my income tax, I totaled up, it must be, I'd say at least 3 a week.
Wow.
Over the course of the year, and some months are like August, not that much happens in August. Generally not that much happens in January or some of the winter months, but now the winter months seem to be getting booked, and so great, happy to do it.
Yeah. That's how I do my show. I do my show 3 days a week. And
3 days a week.
Uh-huh. And
that's great.
Keeps me busy, it's good to be busy.
It certainly does. Yeah. Planning things, setting things up, getting the equipment ready, editing, putting it out there. Yeah.
But I've had fun. I enjoyed it. It's great to do,
Yeah. Yes. And I did some radio shows, too. I used to do a radio show called Morning Reading Theater, and we would read stories on the air. And I don't know how many people listened to stories on the air, but if you're just working around the house or something, it's sort of like books on tape.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we would take the stories and make them into plays by having a narrator and then taking the dialogue and assigning that to different actors. But sometimes we just read the stories as they were.
Yeah.
If they have to be 50 years old so that you don't have to have any copyright problems. But
sure.
And even then, sometimes the copyright is renewed, but that has to be checked. But, anything classical, or sometimes we would just call up an author and say, can we do this?